Good morning. My name is Deirdre Gordon, a member of the Board of Trustees. Welcome to all of you here and to all of you who are joining us online. We're so glad to have you with us this morning. A special welcome to visitors. Please join us for coffee and conversation across the hall after the service. There's so much going on here at MLUC. Be sure to check the back of your order of service and the MLUC.org website for updates about upcoming events. This community is one of hope and caring, where every person matters. We aspire to live our values every day, keeping love at the center of everything we do. This is such a challenging time in the world, and now more than ever, MLUC offers a safe and nurturing place. You are welcome here. Everyone is welcome here. Our worship team for today includes Nick Sanchez. Nick is a candidate for ministry with the UUA, a chaplain at Albert Einstein Medical Center in Philadelphia, and he just finished his ministerial internship at Wellsprings Congregation in Chester Springs. Nick graduated in June from Iliff School of Theology with his Master's of Divinity degree. Dawn Starr Sarahs-Borchelt is our Director of Learning and Family Ministries, and she will provide our time for all ages. Tina Adams is our Worship Associate. Music today is provided by the Young Adult Choir with our Music Director, David Brown, and Jodie Brown on piano. And thank you to the folks managing sound and tech. And now, please silence your electronic devices and join me in affirming our mission. Together, we transform lives through love, service, and our welcoming faith.
I breathe in the warmth of this light. glow, filling the spaces where fear and doubt reside. I breathe out the tension I carry. I release what no longer serves me. I breathe in the strength of our community, a sanctuary of diverse voices and shared purpose. I breathe out the urge to go it alone. I embrace the power of togetherness. I breathe in the courage to speak truth, even when it trembles on my lips. I breathe out the silence that holds me back. I make space for honesty and justice. I breathe in the hope of transformation, knowing we are here to build and to heal. I breathe out despair, trusting that change is born in small acts of love. As we light this chalice, may each breath remind us of the sacred rhythm of life, the pulse of creation, and the power we hold to shape the world around us. Now please join and rise in body or in spirit as we sing together hymn number 123, Spirit of Life.
So before I start our story this morning, I just want to mention that next week the kids are putting together back to school backpacks for kids whose families are served by Family Promise, which is our partner for the summer and all through the year. And if you haven't contributed yet and would like to, this is the week to do it. So just a little reminder, we have a lot of contributions, but we definitely could use more. There's information in the atrium about how to do that, or you can ask me. Do we have slides yet? Okay, there we go. This is Martha. Martha was very fond of making split pea soup. Sometimes she made it all day long. Pots and pots of split pea soup. Split pea soup. Oops, I just double clicked. Okay, we're getting there. The clicker is being slow, and then I get confused. Okay. If there was one thing George, that's George. They're friends. If there's one thing that George was not fond of, it was split pea soup. As a matter of fact, George hated split pea soup more than anything else in the world. But it was so hard to tell Martha. One day, after George had eaten 10 bowls of Martha's soup, that is a good friend, he said to himself, but this is also a good friend, I just want to point out. He said to himself, I just can't stand another bowl, not even another spoonful. So while Martha was out in the kitchen, George carefully poured the rest of his soup into his loafers under the table. Now she'll think I've eaten it. But Martha was watching from the kitchen. How do you expect to walk home with your loafers full of split pea soup? She asked George. Oh dear, said George, you saw me. And why didn't you tell me that you hate my split pea soup? I didn't want to hurt your feelings, said George. That's silly, said Martha. Friends should always tell each other the truth. As a matter of fact, I don't like split pea soup very much myself. I only like making it. From now on, you'll never have to eat that awful soup again. What a relief, George sighed. Would you like some chocolate chip cookies instead? Asked Martha. Oh, that would be lovely, said George. Then you shall have them, said his friend. On the virtues of saying no. I would like to invite children and youth to join me in the atrium where we will figure out what we are doing today, and we'll see you at coffee hour.
Each month during the year and during the summer months of July and August, we select a local charity with whom we share half of our collection. Our current recipient is Family Promise of Montgomery County, formerly Family Promise of the Main Line. The organization provides an interfaith response to homelessness and hunger. Volunteering opportunities exist directly with the organization and provide unique experiences such as sharing life with the families in emergency shelters. One volunteer says, "I love what this nonprofit organization does. It's an important stepping stone for so many people and their children who have fallen on hard times. Without the network, they would be living in their car or on the streets." As many of you know, we host families here during the year and need volunteers. Today, directly after the service, Bob Batt will be on hand in the atrium to sign on volunteers for the upcoming Family Promise hosting. It begins in 2 weeks on August 24th. Thank you to all who help. If you'd like to make a cashless donation and are in the sanctuary, you can scan the QR code that's in the order of service. Or for those here and those at home, please follow the instructions that you see on the screen behind me. The offering will now be gratefully received. Will the ushers please come forward? Candles of Community is our ritual. Members submit a joy, one of our rituals. Candles of Community, where we submit a joy or sorrow to be shared. We light a candle for those who share and join in saying, "We hold you in our hearts." Lilia Weber lights a candle of thanks. About 2 weeks ago, she was confronted with a detached retina. Got herself to Wills Eye Hospital, ER, and before dinner time that day, the retina tear was treated and the retina was on the path to reattachment. And Lilia was on the path to recovery. She says, "Thank you to the skilled medical staff at Wills Eye Hospital available to us in this area, and for those in this community that reached out as you heard of her condition." Her recovery will continue for a few weeks, and Lilia greatly appreciates the care of this community. Lilia, we hold you in our hearts. Barbara Colton lights a candle of concern as she will be undergoing surgery for breast cancer this week. She will be taking the rest of August to recover and will resume emails as she is able. Barbara looks very much forward to reconnecting in September. For Barbara, we hold you in our hearts. A final candle today is lit for all joys, sorrows, and concerns that are unspoken. We hold you in our hearts. Follow anything in its act of being, and we are ushered into the ongoing moment of the beginning, the quiet instant from which each breath starts. What makes this moment so crucial is that it continually refreshes the freshness of living. The key to finding this moment again and again is in the slowing down. Often, when we are inconvenienced, we are being asked to slow down. When we are delayed in our travel or waiting for a check in a restaurant, we are being asked to open up and look around. We are such funny creatures. If we could see ourselves from far away, we would seem like a colony of insects running into things repeatedly. Thousands of little determined beings butting into obstacles, shaking our little heads and bodies, and running into things again. But like the earth that carries us, the ground of our being moves so slowly, we take it for granted. But if you should feel stalled, numb, or exhausted from the trials of your life, simply slow your thoughts to the pace of cracks widening. Slow your heart to the pace of the earth soaking up rain. And wait for the freshness of the beginning to greet you.
I drew near a green pine. To see me weep, it wept, and the pine, since it was green, wept to see me weeping. The melody to this folk song was sung to the composer Manuel de Falla by his mother when he was a child.
Well, good morning, everyone. Ooh, that woke me up. It is so great to be back here again at Mainline Unitarian. Thank you for having me back. I am really grateful for a chance to speak with you again this summer. The last time that I was here, we explored what it means to embrace a life of purpose. And I talked a lot about saying yes to life. That morning, I read a poem by the extraordinary Andrea Gibson, and I think Yvette might have shared this with you already, but if not, I'm saddened to share with you that since then, Andrea has passed away after a long battle with ovarian cancer. Their words live on in their poems, their music, their truth. Andrea once said, "In the end, I want my heart to be covered with stretch marks," and believe that to be true. They revealed truth and wisdom and left us with what I am convinced will be some of the greatest quotations of all time, including, "Let your heart break so that your spirit doesn't." And if you'd indulge me for a moment, I'd just like to take a moment of silence to honor them, poet, activist, and beloved human being. Andrea reminded us to say yes to life, to joy, to love. And today I want to continue that conversation, but from the other side a little bit. Today I want to talk about how living a life of a purpose isn't just about what we say yes to. It's also about when and how we say no. Saying yes fills our lives with meaning, but saying yes to everything, that is a fast track to burnout. Sometimes living purposefully means recognizing when your plate is full. Sometimes it means breathing deeply and embracing what I've come to call your holy no. Your no is sacred. It is a gift that you give to yourself and sometimes even to others. Your no does not have to be harsh or mean. It can be kind, clear, and rooted in love. So like usual, I will tell you a little story. Last October, almost a year ago, I was in the ICU for 3 weeks. It was one of the hardest seasons of my life, but I made it through and I started recovering. And when January rolled around, I thought I felt well enough to take on everything that I thought I could manage. Finishing my last semester of classes at graduate school, completing CPE training, wrapping up my internship at Wellsprings, raising my daughter, walking the dog, being a good husband, father, friend, neighbor, person, all of it. And in theology school, we are taught the importance of self-care. It is really drilled into you. How do you tend to your mind, your body, your spirit amidst the grind of graduate education? And I thought, okay, I can do this if I just stretch enough, if I just meditate enough, if I just pray enough, breathe enough, be mindful enough, I can make it through all of this. So I stacked up all of my spiritual practices. I turned them into reminders and I layered them into my day. I set alarms on my phone to pray. I put sticky notes on my laptop that said, breathe, meditate, stretch. My days were full of spirituality. And that was the problem, because my life became too full. It was full of reminders and full of expectations. It was full to bursting. I was breathing all the time, and yet I couldn't breathe. I was exhausted, and I wasn't just physically exhausted or mentally exhausted, but I became spiritually exhausted. I had said yes to everything. Everything good, everything important, everything meaningful. But as we all learn, too much, even of the good, can be overwhelming. So maybe this might look familiar to some of you. Just scroll through all the reminders and notifications on the front of my phone. There are probably 100 on there right now telling me that I need to look at something. I need to read some article. I need to find some post from a friend. Look at this picture. Don't you remember this time last year? Reminders from today, from last week, from last month. There's probably one from last year. And let's be honest. Have you ever done something like this? Hey Siri, can you set a reminder for 4 p.m. today to check all of my reminders? We live in an age of constant notification, and what starts out as helpful soon can become overwhelming. And instead of feeling supported, we can feel buried. Drowning in to-do lists and blinking red circles and little rectangles all yelling for our attention. And spiritual life can be kind of the same way. Remember to meditate. Remember to stretch. Remember to appreciate this moment that we're in. Remember to be grateful. Remember to take deep breaths. Remember to see the sacred in everything. Even the practices that are meant to sustain us can become part of the noise if we're not careful. Spiritual practices are called that because they are like exercise. They can build strength and build resilience, but overdo it and you're not energized, you are exhausted. You can become spiritually sore, spiritually fatigued, spiritually just done. I've been there. Maybe you've been there too. You know, there is a rhythm that is built into our spiritual traditions, kind of cycle of renewing and reminding. In Christianity, Lent is one of those reminders. It's traditionally 40 days of fasting, prayer, preparation. Lent calls people to focus inward and set aside distractions. And in modern times, it's usually about giving something up, chocolate, ice cream, or taking something on, maybe exercise. They are meant, these 40 days, to echo the 40 days that Jesus spent fasting and praying in the desert before beginning his ministry. And I think about that. Before stepping into the most intense, purpose-filled 3 years of his life, Jesus took 40 days to be alone, to rest, to pray, to prepare. And not just once, this happens throughout all of the Gospels. Mark in chapter 1 says, very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went to a solitary place where he prayed. In Mark 6, he says, amid the chaos, Jesus says to his friends, come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest. And whether you believe Jesus was man, Messiah, or metaphor, if he needed to step away from the noise to center himself, then surely we all do too. That rhythm, that turning inward, that quiet, that pause, it's not unique to Christianity. It shows up all over. In Judaism, every week there's Shabbat, a holy pause. A full day set aside for rest, reflection, and reconnection, not as a reward for finishing some to-do list of the week, but as a commandment, a birthright, a necessity. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel called Shabbat a sanctuary in time. He wrote that while modern life may fill space with our work and our striving, it is in time, sacred time, that we find God, or the divine, or the universe, or what is meaningful to you in your life. In Buddhist practice, there is pratyahara, a withdrawal of the senses, not as escapism, but as a path toward insight. The practice of mindfulness itself is not a demand for constant awareness, but an invitation to return, to come back to the breath, to notice the present moment. One of my favorite Zen phrases, teachings of all times is, you should sit in meditation for 20 minutes every day, unless you're too busy. Then you should sit for an hour. This is ancient wisdom. This is universal wisdom, that the sacred often appears in the space in between things, in the pause, in the breath, in the desert, in the Shabbat, in that quiet hour before dawn, in the moment of stillness before the next note is played. The sacred shows up not when we power through, but when we make room. So perhaps this idea of the holy no is not just about saying no to what we don't want. It's about making space for what matters. Because if your whole life is full, so full that there's no breath even among breathing, no pause, where does the sacred have room to arrive? So what does taking a breath look like in your life? Not just physically, but spiritually. Sometimes it really is as simple as pausing and taking a deep breath. Maybe even in the middle of something. Maybe even right now. Now here's the thing that we all need to hear and to remember. Breath is not a luxury. It is not a reward for finishing everything on your to-do list. It is a requirement. It is a right. It is a sacred part of being human. And yet, how often do we rush past it? How often do we live shallowly, breathing from our chests, never stopping to let our breath drop into our bellies, into our spirits? Breath is one of the few things that we carry with us everywhere. And yet, so often, it is the first thing that we abandon in a moment of stress. That's why in so many traditions, breath is the anchor. In Hebrew, the word for spirit is ruach. It means both breath and wind. In Greek, it's pneuma. In Sanskrit, prana. In each case, the breath is more than oxygen. It's life force, soul, spirit. So when we take a breath, we're not just pausing. We are reconnecting with ourselves, with the sacred, with our full humanity. And when we say no, with breath, with care, with clarity, we create a space where our yes can mean something again. So let's talk a little bit more about this holy no. There's an old saying that every yes is a no to something else. And that reverse is true too. Every time we say no, we're making space for a deeper yes. We live in a culture that rewards overcommitment, that glamorizes hustle, grind culture, that congratulates people for how tired they are. But being tired is not a virtue. Burnout is not some badge of honor. And being stretched too thin doesn't make you holy. It makes you hollow. And yet, we often feel guilty for saying no. We're afraid of disappointing people, or afraid of seeming selfish, or afraid of missing out. We develop FOMO just to name that fear of missing out. But here's the thing, your no is not selfish. Your no can be the boundary that protects your health. Your no can be the pause that brings clarity. Your no can be the space where healing begins. And sometimes your no is the most loving thing that you can offer. There's a kind of spiritual maturity that comes from learning to say no with intention and compassion and care. Not out of a fear or avoidance, but from a deep well of self-understanding. Sometimes no is the bravest prayer that we can speak. And friends, I want to be clear, saying a holy no does not mean turning away from justice or from the world's needs. In fact, sometimes our no is a form of holy resistance. No, I will not stay silent while trans youth are targeted. No, I will not allow color to be criminalized. No, I will not pretend everything is fine while our democracy is being dismantled. No, I will not collude with fascism, with white supremacy, with the politics of cruelty, even with my silence. No, I will not allow the murder of truth and of love. These are sacred refusals. These are the boundaries that protect the soul of a people. These are the no's that make room for the yes of justice, of compassion, of liberation. There are so many ways that this shows up in our lives. Think about the parent who says no to another volunteer commitment, not because they don't care, but because they need to protect that small window of time they still have to tuck their child into bed at night. Think about the retiree who says no to being pulled back into leadership, not because they've stopped contributing, but because they finally have the space to say yes to their long postponed art or writing or travel or rest. Think about the justice organizer who takes a sabbatical, not because they've lost their fire, but because they know burnout helps no one, and that rest fuels resistance. Shout out to Trisha Hersey. These are holy no's. They are rooted in truth, offered with love, and anchored in breath. So what happens when a community learns how to say a holy no together? When we create space not just in our personal lives, but in our shared life, we become a place where people can breathe. Where showing up with your full, messy, sacred humanity is enough. Where your value isn't tied to how much you give, or how much you do, or how much you produce. Where, no, I can't this time, is not met with guilt, but with gratitude. This is what beloved community can be. And underneath all the noise, all the apps, all the notifications, you remember what's important to you. If you can't see, that's a picture of my daughter, Willow. Underneath the noise, beneath the reminders, the shouts, the little red circles, what is calling to you? What needs rest? What deserves your yes, and what needs your no? We can help each other find out. This community exists for that, for taking a breath, for holding the silence, for listening to that still small voice inside of us. The voice that sometimes whispers, "You've done enough," or "You're not ready," or even, "It's time to go." These are holy voices too. So friends, may you take your breath. May you find your sacred no. And may you carve out a sanctuary in time wherever you are. May we help one another build a world where no one has to earn rest and no one forgets how to breathe. Amen. May it be so. Please now rise in body or spirit and join me as we sing hymn number 1064, Blue Boat Home. Beloveds, this chalice will go out, but the flame that it represents burns on inside us. Sometimes it burns hotter than others, sometimes not so bright, but let it burn. Burn the way you need it to. Friends, if here you have known freedom, take it with you into the world. If here you have dreamed dreams, help one another that they might come true. And if here you have known love in any form, in any capacity, give some back to a bruised and bruising world. Amen. May it be so. Until we see each other next time.
children.